Level 1. The runner. The envelope is already on your desk. It is a cheap, brown manila pocket, unsealed, containing exactly $4,200 in crumpled $20 bills. Your hands are sweating, leaving faint damp patches on the wood. You have exactly 20 minutes to cross 6 blocks of the East Ward, bypass the transit police at the corner of 4th, and drop it into the slot of a reinforced steel lockbox behind a dry cleaner's on Elm Street. If you are late, you do not get paid. If you lose the envelope, you do not get to explain why. You are 19 years old, wearing an oversized hoodie to blend into the evening commute, and your chest feels hollow. This is your first real day on the payroll. Before this, you were just a kid who watched the block, a nameless lookout who signaled with a brief, sharp whistle whenever a patrol car turned the corner. Now, you have a physical piece of the operation in your pocket. You are officially part of the friction. The streets feel narrower today. Every person walking toward you looks like a potential threat, every parked car feels like an ambush, and every uniform makes your stomach drop. The unwritten rule of the pavement is simple. Do not run unless everyone else is running, do not look anyone in the eyes for more than 1 second, and keep your right hand near your pocket without touching it. You are hyper-aware of the weight of the paper against your thigh. You reach the dry cleaner at 6:14. The old man behind the counter does not look up from his sewing machine. He merely nods toward the back hallway. You walk past the racks of plastic-wrapped suits, find the gray steel box bolted to the brick wall, and slide the envelope inside. The sound of it hitting the bottom of the bin is the loudest thing you have ever heard. When you walk back out into the cold air, your chest expands. You made $150 for 20 minutes of walking. Your mind is already calculating the math. If you do this 3 times a week, you can pay off your mother's past due utility bills by the end of the month. You tell yourself this is temporary. You tell yourself you are just helping out, that you are smarter than the guys who spend 10 years sitting on milk crates on the corner. You do not notice that you have already stopped looking people in the eye. You are already learning to view your neighborhood, not as a home, but as a map of escape routes and blind spots. Level 2. The enforcer. The steel pipe feels cold against your palm, hidden beneath the sleeve of your canvas jacket. You are standing in the dim, fluorescent light of an auto repair shop at 2:00 a.m. Marcus, a mechanic who owes the crew $8,500 for a bad sports betting streak, is on his knees in front of you. His face is a mask of grease, sweat, and genuine terror. He is pleading, bringing up his kids, his mortgage, his 10 years of living on this block. Your instructions from the block boss were precise. Do not break anything he needs to work. Just make sure he remembers the conversation. You do not hesitate. If you hesitate, the guy standing behind you, the one who brought you here to see if you have the stomach for the next tier, will report it back to the house. In this world, hesitation is a liability that gets you reassigned to the corners, or worse, marked as untrustworthy. You bring the pipe down hard against Marcus's right knee. The sound is a dull, wet crack, followed immediately by a high, strangled scream that echoes off the metal walls of the garage. Your heart is hammering against your ribs, but your face remains perfectly still. You have practiced this expression in the mirror. You look at Marcus not with anger, not with hatred, but with the cold, detached boredom of a utility worker shutting off the water for non-payment. Next Tuesday, you say. Your voice doesn't shake. The whole amount, no extensions. You turn and walk out into the rain. Your hands are steady now. That is the part that frightens you when you think about it later, lying awake in your apartment at 4 a.m. You expected to feel guilty. You expected to feel a crushing weight in your chest. Instead, you just feel a strange, hollow relief. You did the job. You proved you could execute an order without letting your conscience interfere. You clear $200 a week now. You bought a new leather jacket. People on the street move out of your way when you walk down the sidewalk. They know your face, and more importantly, they know what your presence means. You tell yourself that Marcus brought this on himself, that he knew the rules when he took the money. You rationalize the violence by calling it business. The kid who worried about his mother's utility bills is fading. In his place, someone who calculates the structural integrity of human bone. Level 3. The captain. The table at the back of the trattoria is reserved for you every Thursday night. You sit with your back to the wall, facing the entrance, while 4 younger men sit around you, eating expensive pasta and hanging on your every word. You are 27 years old, and you control a 4-block radius that generates roughly $45,000 a week in illegal gambling, extortion, and narcotics distribution. You answer directly to the underboss now. You don't hold the pipes anymore. You have your own crew of level 2s to handle the physical labor. Your job is logistical. Your job is stability. A dispute has broken out between two of your street-level dealers. One is accusing the other of skimming from the product. The other claims his territory is being encroached upon. They are standing before your table, shifting their weight, waiting for your judgment. The air is thick with the smell of garlic, tobacco, and underlying panic. You say, pointing a fork at the older dealer. You take the avenue. You look at the younger one. You take the side streets. If I hear your names mentioned together again, I take 50% of both your weekly takes. Am I clear? Both men nod quickly, murmuring their compliance before backing away from the table. You return to your meal. You feel a deep, intoxicating sense of order. You are the law in this neighborhood. The police don't settle these disputes. The courts don't hear these cases. You do. But the pressure is constant. You are squeezed between two immovable forces, the men below you who want your position, and the administration above you that expects their percentage every single Sunday afternoon, without fail, regardless of whether the weather was bad or the cops ran a sweep. If your numbers drop by even 5%, you get a phone call. If they drop 2 weeks in a row, you get an invitation to a dinner you might not walk away from. Your identity is now entirely tied to your reputation. You cannot afford to look weak, even for a second. If you have a headache, you hide it. If you are worried about an upcoming indictment, you smile. You have become an actor playing the role of a local god, and the costume is starting to feel like it's glued to your skin. Level 4, the earner. You sit in a sterile, air-conditioned office on the 14th floor of a glass tower downtown. The desk is mahogany. The man sitting across from you is a legitimate real estate developer whose company is listed on the regional exchange. He needs $400,000 in immediate, unrecorded cash to bridge a funding gap for a luxury condominium project before the bank pulls his line of credit. You have that cash sitting in 3 duffel bags in the trunk of a leased sedan parked in the basement structure. The interest rate is 4%, you say quietly, adjusting the cuffs of your tailored suit, paid weekly until the principal is returned in full. The developer looks pale, his eyes darting to the glass walls as if expecting the federal authorities to smash through them. That's twice what the commercial banks charge. Then go to a commercial bank, you reply smoothly. He doesn't move. He can't. He has exhausted every legal avenue, and you are his last resort. He signs the promissory note, a document that will never see a courtroom but is far more binding than any legal contract, because the enforcement mechanism doesn't involve lawyers. You are now generating more revenue than your entire neighborhood did when you were a runner. You are moving millions of dollars through shell corporations, construction fronts, and vending machine routes. You don't see the drugs, you don't see the blood, you don't see the desperate users or the broken shopkeepers. It has all been abstracted into ledgers, spreadsheets, and wire transfers. You consider yourself a businessman now. You tell yourself that you are no different from the venture capitalists or the investment bankers on Wall Street. They exploit people. You exploit people. They break rules. You break rules. But your isolation is deepening. You can no longer trust your old friends from the block because they see you as a walking vault. You can't trust your legitimate business partners because they look at you with a mixture of necessity and disgust. You live in a beautiful condo overlooking the river, but you keep a loaded Glock 19 on the nightstand and 3 separate passports in a floor safe beneath your closet. You have acquired immense leverage, but you have forgotten what it feels like to have a conversation that isn't a negotiation. Level 5, the underboss. The call comes at 3:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. It is the boss's driver. He doesn't say hello. He just gives you a cross street in an industrial park near the docks. When you arrive, the rain is coming down in sheets, blurring the yellow sodium lights of the warehouses. A black SUV is parked near the water, its engine idling with a low, rhythmic thrum. You step out of your vehicle, your coat collar turned up against the wind, and slide into the passenger seat of the RV. The boss is sitting in the back, his face shadowed, smelling faintly of expensive cologne and old age. He is 62, his health is failing, and he is paranoid. He has been watching the federal surveillance vans circle his estate for 6 months. Frankie is talking, the old man says. His voice is a gravelly whisper over the hum of the heater. The feds have a wire on him. My source in the prosecutor's office confirmed it. He's giving them the construction accounts. Frankie is your closest friend. He is the man who stood up for your child at his baptism. He is the one who helped you move the body of a rival crew member 8 years ago when everything went sideways in the West End. Are you sure? You ask. Your throat feels dry, like it's coated in ash. The boss turns his head, his eyes freezing you in place. I don't ask questions when I'm sure. Clean it up by tomorrow morning. You step out of the car, back into the rain. The SUV pulls away, its taillights disappearing into the mist. You stand on the asphalt for a long time, watching the dark water of the river slap against the concrete piers. This is the threshold. If you refuse or if you delay, you will be viewed as complicit. The system does not accommodate sentimentality. The rules that built this empire are older than you, older than the boss, and they demand absolute obedience to the structure over any human bond. You make the call. You set up a meeting with Frankie at an isolated warehouse under the pretense of checking a new shipment. You send 2 of your most trusted Level 2 enforcers to handle the details. You do not go yourself. You stay in your office, staring at a financial report you've already read 3 times, waiting for the confirmation text. When the phone buzzes at 6:42 a.m. with a single word, "Done," you delete the message and close your eyes. You have traded your last remaining piece of genuine humanity for the position of second in command. You tell yourself it was survival. You tell yourself Frankie chose his path when he opened his mouth to the government. But when you look in the mirror to shave that morning, you don't recognize the eyes looking back at you. They belong to a machine. Level 6. The boss. You sit at the head of a massive conference table in the basement of a heavily fortified social club in the heart of the city. There are 12 men in the room, each of them a captain or a high-level earner. When you speak, the room goes completely silent. Even the sound of ice clinking in a glass stops. You are the boss. You control the political appointments in 3 districts, the waste management contracts for half the state, and the flow of every illicit dollar across 100 square miles. You issue orders through a chain of 3 separate intermediaries to ensure that your name is never spoken on a federal wiretap. You are the architect of an invisible state within a state. Today, a young, ambitious captain is proposing an aggressive expansion into a rival family's territory. He is energetic, articulate, and reminds you of yourself 15 years ago. He presents data, profit projections, and lists of compromised local officials. No, you say. The word is quiet, but it cuts through the room like a blade. The captain blinks, his confidence faltering. But the revenue potential? The revenue isn't worth the exposure, you interrupt, your voice level and unyielding. A war brings the state police. It brings the federal task force. It disrupts the construction lines. We lose $10 for every 5 we make on the street. We stay within our borders. We maintain the peace. The captain bows his head. Yes, boss. You have achieved absolute authority, but it feels like a heavy, suffocating garment. You can no longer walk down the street without 3 armed bodyguards trailing 10 paces behind you. You cannot eat at a restaurant without your security detail checking the kitchen first. Every meal could be poison. Every car start could be your last. Every new acquaintance could be an undercover agent or an assassin sent by a younger man who wants your chair. You spend your days managing friction, settling petty grievances between greedy men, and reading legal briefs prepared by your defense attorneys. You are constantly calculating the loyalties of everyone around you, looking for the subtle shifts in body language, the uncharacteristic hesitation, the sudden influx of unexplained cash that signals a betrayal in progress. You have millions of dollars buried in plastic barrels beneath a farm upstate and millions more in offshore accounts in Cyprus. But you live on a diet of plain white rice and boiled chicken because your stomach is ruined by ulcers. You have everything you ever wanted when you were 19, and you would give half of it away for a single night of unbroken sleep without the weight of the empire pressing down on your chest. Level 7. The consigliere. The courtroom is silent except for the drone of the air conditioner and the steady rhythmic reading of the indictment by the federal prosecutor. You sit at the defense table, wearing a gray wool suit that costs more than a runner makes in 6 months. You are 68 years old, your hair is silver, and your hands are liver-spotted, but perfectly still. You are no longer the boss. You stepped down 3 years ago, transitioning into the role of the elder statesman, the institutional memory, the quiet voice that guides the hand that holds the scepter. You are the repository of 40 years of secrets, deals, compromises, and burials. The prosecutor is listing 42 counts of racketeering, conspiracy, and money laundering. They have ledgers, they have cooperating witnesses, they have 30,000 hours of intercepted digital communications. The government has spent $11 million over 7 years to build this cage around you. Your attorney leans over, whispering frantically about a potential plea agreement, 12 years in a maximum security facility, with the possibility of parole after 8 due to your age and failing health. You look across the courtroom at the gallery. Sit 3 rows back is the new boss, a man you trained, a man who took your place with your blessing. He is watching you with a cold, analytical gaze. He isn't worried about your health. He is worried about your silence. He is wondering if the old man will break under the threat of dying in a concrete cell. You lean toward your lawyer. Tell them no deal. We go to verdict. You choose the cell. You choose the silence. It isn't out of loyalty to the men in the room. You lost your faith in loyalty decades ago. It is out of loyalty to the system itself. You understand that if you speak, the entire architecture collapses, and with it, the only meaning your life has left. If you destroy the empire to save yourself, then every sacrifice you made, every friend you betrayed, every line you crossed, the kid you killed in yourself 40 years ago, becomes meaningless. You accept the consequence. You have spent your entire life operating within a closed loop of power and violence, and you will not exit it through a back door provided by the government. You are a professional, and this is the final, ultimate cost of doing business at the highest level. Level 8. The Ghost. The room is small, white, and smells of industrial bleach and old wool. It is located on the second floor of a medical wing in a federal penitentiary in the high desert of Colorado. Outside the reinforced glass window, there is nothing but gray gravel, double rows of razor wire, and the jagged purple line of the Rocky Mountains against a pale sky. You are 74 years old, your body is failing, your lungs are heavy with fluid, and you are confined to a motorized wheelchair. You have no visitors. Your wife died 9 years ago, your children changed their last names and moved to the West Coast 20 years ago. The men you ran with are either dead, imprisoned, or living under assumed names in witness protection. You are a legend in the world you left behind. Younger guys on the corners still talk about your reign, your wealth, your decisions. They speak your name with a kind of mythic reverence as if you were a historical figure from an epic poem. You are the man who beat 3 indictments, the man who consolidated the docks, the man who survived the Great Purge of '96. But here, you are just an inmate number, an old man who needs help getting to the dining hall. You spend your days staring at the wall, watching the shadows shift as the sun moves across the sky. Power has eliminated every real connection you ever had. You climbed to the very top of the mountain, eliminated every rival, secured every dollar, and discovered that the summit is just a barren rock surrounded by ice. You don't think about the millions of dollars you can't spend. You don't think about the properties or the cars or the political favors you used to command. Instead, your mind constantly returns to that hot July evening 55 years ago, walking down the cracked pavement of Elm Street with a brown paper envelope in your pocket, your heart beating in your throat, feeling the intense, vibrant electricity of being alive and afraid. You realize now that the system didn't just take your freedom, it took your life long before the judge ever banged the gavel. It took it piece by piece, level by level, replacing your soul with concrete and iron until there was nothing left but a shell. Somewhere, in a dimly lit social club on the north side, a 19-year-old kid is standing by the door. He is watching the captains count the money from the evening routes, his eyes wide, his mind racing with the possibilities of wealth, respect, and power. He believes he understands the rules of the world he is walking into. He believes he is different, that he is smarter, that he can outrun the machine. He does not, but he will.